Hey you guys, Jacob Hartley here. Today in this video I want to go over how to overcome fear and be unstoppable. Now let me just start off by saying that human beings are absolutely amazing, okay? We're the most advanced creature on this planet, and our minds are an absolutely amazing tool, but at the same time it's what can hold us back from being successful. And when I went to school, I actually studied psychology. I got a degree in psychology, and what we learned is there's a part in your brain that is the reptilian brain, and the only function of that part of the brain is to keep you safe, okay? A lot of times we get into situations where we're so scared, there's so much fear, that part of the brain is to keep us from doing something because we're so scared of doing it, all right? And once we're aware of that, we're allowed to break through that. And let me give you some examples. I actually went through flight school to become a pilot, to get my pilot's license. And an example of this reptilian part of the brain working is, I remember I had an instructor that was in the plane with me. He started teaching me how to fly, how to land a plane. And that's really all you do when you first start. You take off in a plane, you fly around in the pattern, you come back in and land. And I just remember we just did that over and over. And after a little while, my instructor stepped out of the plane and said, okay, you're on your own. Now, you can imagine what goes through one person's mind when they're in a plane all by themselves. They've never flown before by themselves. And now your instructor steps out of the plane and says, okay, I want you to go up and fly around the pattern and land all by yourself. Could you imagine the fear and how scared I was when that happened, okay? Now, the reptilian part of my brain was telling me, don't do this because what if? What could happen if I didn't know what I was doing correctly? Or, there's always that what if in your brain that keeps you from doing that and being successful. Even though you have that fear, you act in spite of that, okay? So what I did is, even though I was scared to death of going up and flying an airplane by myself and flying around in a pattern and going and landing, I know that my instructor knew that I could do it. We practiced it so many times that it was already built in my muscle memory, but my brain was telling me, don't do that. There's this huge fear of, what if? But even though I had that fear, I still had to break through that and go and fly the airplane by myself, take off, fly around in a pattern, and come back in and land all by myself. Now what happens is, when you break through something that absolutely scares you like that, if you have this huge fear, and even though you're so scared and you still act through that, what happens is your brain says, okay, I'm aware of this now, I'm aware that I can do this, and I can still go and be successful at it. And so over time, that fear starts to go away with that particular thing. And I'm sure a lot of you may not be able to relate to that, but I'm sure you probably could if you could just imagine yourself being in a plane and your instructor steps out and you have to go fly by yourself. And the same fear came again when I was flying and had a few hours under my belt, and my instructor said, okay, I want you to do a solo cross-country flight by yourself, which means I had to fly a certain distance and land at different airports, and that's something I had never done before by myself in an airplane. And that same fear came back. Yeah, I knew I could take off and I knew I could land, but the what if always came back up again. So what if I fly and I get lost and I don't know where I'm going, and what if I run out of fuel? Or there's always the what if that comes up in your mind, okay? And the same thing happens when you get into internet marketing or anything new that you're doing. It doesn't matter what it is, there's always that fear of the unknown of what can happen. And so our minds are so powerful that even though we have that fear, we can still break through that. So when you come up against something that is like a roadblock in your mind, the decision falls upon you what you do with that. Do you stop? Do you not go through with it? Or do you break through that even though you're scared? We're all scared to do things at times. We all have that fear. That's how our mind works. That's ingrained in our brains. But if you can learn that even though you're scared, you're still going to act in spite of that fear, you're going to be absolutely unstoppable. I remember when I first got married, just to give you another example, when I first got married, the fear in my mind came through, well, I know I can feed myself, but now I have to feed another person, and I'm in charge of that. And the same thing happened when I had my first child. Now I have to feed 3 mouths instead of 2. And once you learn that you just break through that fear, it was like no big deal. Now it's like, it's just an ordinary thing that you have to think about. And a lot of times when you're put into a situation where you have no choice but to act, your back up is against a wall, that's when you start to do amazing things. If in your mind you're thinking, well, I have no other choice, I have to make some money to be able to provide for my family, to provide for myself, provide for my family, put a roof over their heads, put food on their table, you know that you have to do something. And so you act in spite of that fear, okay? You're going to encounter in your life, you're going to have so many roadblocks, so many things that you're going to be scared of that will keep you from being successful. A lot of times when people join up into an opportunity or anything like that, they have this fear of, what are my family or friends going to think about me if I'd start doing this? Well, I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter what your family, what your friends think. They're not the ones paying your bills. Complete strangers off the street, who cares what they think? They're not the ones putting food on your table. They're not the ones having to make it happen, okay? Just keep that in mind when you get into an opportunity or anything that you do in life, that it all depends on you. And you can't blame anybody else for your success or your failure. Okay? If you're successful, let that be on you and your higher power, whoever that is, God, Allah, whatever. Just understand that whatever happens is because you decided that to happen. Because even if you're scared, whether you do nothing about it or whether you do something about that falls upon you. It doesn't fall upon a family member or a friend. You're the one that's ultimately responsible for your success. Now, talking about Goringless Extreme and sending out ringless voicemails, it's something that you've never done before. And you're probably looking at it like, yeah, I understand this, but there's always that fear of, what will happen if I invest this money to join the program? Am I going to do something about this? Am I going to make it happen? Or am I going to succumb to that fear and not do anything? Am I going to succumb to the fear and not make that investment to start doing something about my life? I remember when I first got into internet marketing, I didn't know what I was doing. I was going to school. My wife was working at a job, 9-to-5 job. I was at home going to school. I didn't have a job. I was having to take care of a child, our firstborn. And I got to the point where I said, I need to do something. I need a way to make money. So I started learning how to do internet marketing. I did something about it. I started researching it. I dug in. I started learning everything that I could, because I knew in my mind that I was the one responsible for what happens in my life. Nobody else but me. So I learned how to do it. And I just remember thinking, man, if I could at least make, $1 on the internet, I would be happy. If I made $25, I'd be happy. So once that happened, I was aware that I was able to do that. When I made my very first sale on the internet, I was so excited about it. My first $25 sale, I got ecstatic. I was excited because that had never happened to me before. I was scared because I didn't know what I was doing particularly. I didn't have all the knowledge, but I knew that I needed to act anyways. And once you do that, doors will open up, the universe will open up to you, and things will start to happen. Never in my wildest dreams would I imagine that I could make $1,000, $3,000 a day. You know, now looking back, I make more money per day than most people make in an entire month. And I'd never known that I could do that. I wasn't aware in my mind that that was possible. Now that I'm able to do that, I'm aware of that. And I know that when I come up against an obstacle, I break through that anyway. I don't let it keep me back. I know that if I have to make an investment into something, that I will do it if it will allow me to be more successful. Does that make sense? So with Goringless, you do have a startup cost of $497 one time. Now you can take a step back and say, I'm scared if I make that payment that I'm not going to be successful with it. Nothing is going to happen. Or you could be also scared saying, well, what if? You know, what if I am successful? A lot of people are scared of success. Believe it or not, they're scared of what if I am successful? Well, just take a step back and think, you know, in your mind that you are the one that's in control. You are the one that will make it happen. The system works. We all have the exact same opportunity starting off, but it depends on what you do with that opportunity that will determine your outcome. Okay. One thing with my team, everybody that signs up with Goringless Extreme, is they get my mentorship. It's like having an instructor in the plane with you, teaching you, showing you what to do, and then they allow you to fly on your own, and then it depends on you what you do from there. So when you come on board with me, I give you my training. I have a step-by-step training that I show you exactly what I do so you can duplicate the process. You may go into it thinking, well, I don't know everything about it, and that's fine. Learn enough to be dangerous. And what I mean by that is learn enough that if somebody asks you, well, what's the compensation plan all about? How much is the startup cost? What do I do after I sign up? Know the answer to those questions so that when you start getting sales and people ask you that, or if you start getting new leads or prospects that are curious, what's neat about Ringless voicemail with Goringless Extreme is we're not talking to people that are negative or that say no. We're only talking to people that are interested, people that want what we have, and they see it, they understand it, and they want it. So be able to answer the question. Yeah, it's $497 one time to get started. There is a one-up compensation plan, so that means your very first sale gets passed up. What we're doing is scraping phone numbers, and we're sending out a Ringless voicemail to those people. So just know the basic answers to those questions, and you are powerful enough to be successful with this program. Don't let something that, if you don't know every single thing about it, don't let that keep you back. Break through that anyways and be successful. So you guys, I hope that you take what I've told to you today and implement that in your life. Yes, we're going to come up upon times that we are so scared that it determines what we do with that fear. Okay, we all experience it. You're not the only one. We all have that fear. We all have roadblocks in our lives that we have to break through. And don't let something as simple as, well, I don't know how to record a voicemail. Don't let that stop you. You know, on my team, when you sign up to send out a Ringless voicemail, you can have me record it for you. I can give you a script where you can record the voicemail. You get the software to record it, or you can have the company do it. So something as small like that, don't let that be something that determines your success. Break through those barriers. Be unstoppable. Act in spite of fear. Anyways, you guys, I hope that helped you. If you want to come on board with me and be successful, have a mentor that will show you exactly what to do to be successful with this program, go ahead and sign up with the link below this video in the description. I'll put it down there. If not, you can go to goringlessextremenow.com. That will put you with me. I will show you exactly what I'm doing and what my team is doing to duplicate the success that we're having with Ringless voicemail and overcome any barriers that come in your way. So I hope this helped you. I look forward to working with you, and go ahead and get signed up, and I'll see you on the inside.